look, after the second debate, everyone will say this is a volatile race. It can go back and forth. But if you see the shift in the 10 days since the first presidential debate, and pick your state, Nevada's moved Clinton's way, Florida's moved Clinton's way, North Carolina's moved Clinton's way, even Ohio. We saw the Michigan poll. Donald Trump thought he was going to go through the Rust Belt, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan. Now Trump, he needs to perform.
He does, but let's remember that the expectations probably couldn't be lower for Donald Trump in this debate after the failures of last week. So as long as he avoids some of the problems that he had last week, the hectoring, the bullying, he's probably going to be okay. I was in Colorado on Tuesday, and he met with some energy CEOs, and they said that they were looking for humility in Donald Trump. After the reporters left the room, they said that they had a closed-door meeting with him, and they asked him a question about, how did you do in the last debate? And he said, I did very, very well. And he said, especially the first 30 minutes. And then he went on to say, however, the questioners was very unfair, and the questions were very unfair. And actually, even Abraham Lincoln couldn't have won that debate. So it probably wasn't the humility that these guys were looking for. So people will be looking for that sense of humility.
I think people looking for humility from Donald Trump are going to be on a long time on the hunt. Just as you guys come into the conversation, Donald Trump emailed Page Six, because that's what candidates for presidents do. They email Page Six. And there's been all this talk, and he himself has suggested in some of his rallies, I'm going to get more personal. I'm going to bring up impeachment. I'm going to bring up Bill Clinton's infidelities. But we'll see what happens on Sunday night in St. Louis. But here's his email to the New York Post. I want to win this election on my policies for the future, not on Bill Clinton's past. So apparently the good angels on his campaign team, at least for now, have convinced him to stay away from that.
Yeah, I mean, Republicans are definitely happy to hear that. You heard a lot of voices saying stay away from it, even his own supporters on Capitol Hill. I have to think that Donald Trump is approaching this debate differently. Of course, he's doing that town hall today to try to sharpen his skills a little bit ahead of that. But I look at how he dealt with the primary debates as a lesson in this. And remember that debate in South Carolina, where it was a very contentious debate. He attacked all his opponents. He even suggested George W. Bush may be responsible for 9/11. He got criticized for losing that debate, criticized relentlessly. The next debates, he sort of dialed it back. He did that in Florida. He was reserved. I would not be shocked if we saw a different Donald Trump.
But you mentioned the town hall tonight in New Hampshire. That's essentially forced practice by his staff, which couldn't get him to practice as much for the first debate. So they're putting him in the town hall setting because that's what we'll have Sunday night in St. Louis, where you have undecided voters asking questions. It's a lot easier to turn a reporter's question, you ask me about A, I want to talk about B, than when a voter gets up and talks about their brother or sister's PTSD, or they can't pay their mortgage, or they can't find a job, or somebody in the family has cancer. It's a lot harder to turn away those questions. So Donald Trump is practicing tonight, but if you go back in history, remember, maybe it's just New Hampshire, but Donald Trump has had some pretty interesting moments at these town halls, and he doesn't always handle them perfectly.
We have a problem in this country. It's called Muslims. We know our current president is one. Right. You know he's not even an American.
We need this
birth
question.
certificates, man. But anyway, we have training camps growing where they want to kill us. That's my question. When can we get rid of it?
We're going to be looking at a lot of different things. And, you know, a lot of people are saying that, and a lot of people are saying that bad things are happening out there. We're going to be looking at that and plenty of other things.
It's interesting because his first instinct was, you couldn't see him, but he interrupts there. He says, this is the first question. His first instinct was to know, I don't want to go here. I don't want to talk about this. You know, where'd this guy come from? But then he does a lot of people are talking about that. And whether he's talking about training camps, we don't know if he meant training camps here or whether the president's a Muslim. If something, I don't doubt that's going to come up in a presidential town hall on Sunday night. But if something offbeat comes up, a gifted politician has to know how to turn it.
Look, the Commission on Presidential Debates vets the people who are asking questions. They tend to look for people who are asking serious policy questions that are, you know, at the forefront of American politics. Frankly, that could be just as dangerous for Trump as sort of the off-the-wall conspiracy theory that he gets out on the campaign trail. You know, the tough thing for him is, has he done his homework? Can he answer a complicated question about the economy, about foreign policy, the things that, frankly, in the last year have not been his strong suit. This is the kind of thing where Clinton shines because she is a super policy wonk.
Yeah, and she's done this over and over again. She's done hundreds of town halls throughout her political career. I think one of the things that was telling was when Donald Trump had that other town hall where a man got up and talked about PTSD, and Donald Trump seemed to imply that strong soldiers don't get affected by that kind of thing. And it wasn't malicious, I don't think, on his part. It it was just, I think, emblematic of the fact that he isn't used to talking about these things in the way that most people are, most politicians are, most people who are deeply engaged in a lot of the policies. And I also think just the humanity, right? I mean, you talked about humility. He's going to have to figure out a way to connect with those small audiences, with those people one-on-one, something that we've seen Hillary Clinton do, Bill Clinton do, obviously, very well.